Okay, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me this evening on the late one in review. Today is the 20th of October 2022. I want to thank those who are joining me on Instagram, those on Facebook, those on Twitter as well, and those on YouTube especially. The brunt of the show is going to be on YouTube, so that is where we should really aim to be. Tonight is a show which I thought of this morning, and as you can see the title which I have, The Revolving Door of Number 10. That was a couple hours before we had the resignation of the Prime Minister Liz Truss. But I saw this video and I saw this picture and I kept saying a new door has been fitted at number 10, and it was very interesting. So I said, in the space of a few months, with what we have these prime ministers and chancellors and so many things changing around, and we have been following this for the past few weeks, ladies and gentlemen. And so tonight I'm going to have on the show, which of course other persons may come in. Muhid Jiran, international human rights activist and political strategist, all the way from Sri Lanka, and also my resident guest, Anthony Francis, Mr. Think It Planet, Do It Now, project management coach, business strategist as well, and the guy who always gets, should I say, I'm going to say it, always get it right. And so we're going to bring in these guys now. Sir Anthony, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Sylbourne. Thanks for having me back on the show again.
Well, of course. Did I introduce you right? I think that's the most important thing. Always get it right.
Yeah, well, I'm glad someone thinks so. But yes, it's nice to be back. And unfortunately, I'm not pleased to be proven right. But I think clearly the events of the last 24 hours, in fact, the events of the last few hours, should I say, have actually have proven that I was right.
Yes. Let me bring in Muhid Jiran. Hey Muhid, how are you doing, sir? All the way from Sri Lanka. How is everything?
Yeah, things are okay, good, and I hope that today is going to be a very interesting program. All about Tory. I would say the Tory revolt, and and we will see how this program can express our opinion. What could be the next. So yeah, good, and let's go ahead.
Yes. Well. Let me just welcome Tuba Tubes. I'm watching, and he says straight out of Kingston. So therefore, there we are. Well, someone straight out of Kingston from Jamaica, and so I got to say hi to my classmate who is over there following. He actually think that I should actually be putting myself forward. That's what he kept saying to me all day because he wants to get a job as Home Secretary from Jamaica. So so anything can happen. But listen, on a serious note, though, and if I just pick up this, Prime Minister Liz Truss resigned as UK Prime Minister and leader of the Conservative Party today. Speaking out of Downing Street, she said she could not deliver the mandate on which she was elected. And of course, what this happened now, it kickstarts a contest to the next Tory leader. I mean, how many times have we heard that? But let me just bring in Sir Garry. How are you, Sir Graham?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's good to be a part of the Seymour CDL show again with Anthony, my good friend. It's great.
And we have Mihir Jiran here from Sri Lanka, straight out of Sri Lanka.
Okay. Hello, Muhid.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
I'm doing well, sir. I hope you're doing good also.
Yes. As I set the stage out a while ago, the Prime Minister resigned today. Let's just pick it up straight from there. Let's go to Anthony. You saw this. You had the visions of seeing this, isn't it? You had foresight, Anthony, Mr. Francis. You think you planning to do it now, or Liz Truss didn't do that?
I actually sort of said that Liz Truss on the 5th of September, actually, when she was doing the hustings for the leadership, I said that it would be a complete catastrophe if Liz Truss actually became the Prime Minister of this country. And I said she would be a complete disaster. Yeah. And I outlined the reasons why she would be a complete disaster, not least because she was completely inexperienced, completely out of her depth, and didn't really seem to have an understanding of the brief for which a Prime Minister is called to office. So I think given those three key areas and the fact that we've now witnessed her and her parties and her team's incompetence in managing the economic situation within the country, I think it's left her and her position completely untenable, which is the reason why she hasn't even lasted 100 days. I mean, I initially sort of said back in September, if she became Prime Minister, she had 7 days to see if she could actually get her act together. And what I meant by that was what she said in the first 7 days, her and her Chancellor, would actually be the foundation for their whole time in office. And what they said in the first 7 days actually set in train their demise, because they came out and said they were going to do certain things with the economy and the mini budget, and that was it. Once they had done that, uncosted economic forecast, uncosted, sacking the Treasury Minister on his first day, Mr. Kwarteng did, it just left them in a really situation where they were completely divided. And not only that, before I finish, don't forget, when Liz Truss became leader, she didn't even reach out to any other factions of the party. She just put all the people in her cabinet who supported her. So rather than bring the cabinet together or the party together, she divided them. And then once she also then put forward this completely uncosted financial plan, it was game over.
Yeah, that's very interesting there, and a nice breakdown which you did. Muhid, what's your take on it so far?
When this leadership contest begins on the last month, okay, after Boris Johnson was forced to resign, and if you see the pattern of the leadership hustling, if you see the last three candidates, which is which was Rishi and Liz and Penny. Penny was the very strongest candidate, but still the MPs has never given a chance for Penny to go to the ballot box. Right, ballot paper, right? So after that, I've written an article. I was looking at this, hustling, and I've written an article. What I really said is the two bad choices. The members are having two bad choices. That means the MPs has pushed these two candidates to the ballot paper. Both are bad choices. But I said is if you're looking at the comparison between Rishi and Liz, I said this is bit better than Rishi Sunak, because Rishi, it's not only not in political term, in political term, it's not only you should be a good lead. If you wanted to be a good leader, it's not only just you should create good policies. Also, you should understand how you handle your team members. But if you see Rishi Sunak's the way of come back to the ballot paper, actually he was like a betrayer. If you looking at in 2015, he became the member of the party, right? And he became an MP in a safe seat, right? And in 2019, he has been given an opportunity to become the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Okay, he was doing the job, right? It was given by Boris Johnson. But what he did is he became, it's something like a Judas. Okay, he could have been what he would have done.
So you saw him as a betrayer, one that stabbed Boris in the back. Is that how you see him?
Yes, he was a betrayer because if he really don't like the way the Boris Johnson is going on, and if he really want to become a leader, that's what I said. Rishi is not that much smart in politics. He's very immature because when he's come to
we're gonna go on to that bit later when we talk about who are we looking to be the next person, because Rishi is going to be there in the pot at this present. Gary, in light of Liz Truss' resignation, what do you say? Were you expecting that? I mean, we spoke about it. Anthony said the end of the year, and I told Anthony it might happen in 7 days. Actually, I was more right, Anthony.
No,
I said 100 days, and I said
yeah. I mean, from the word go, Anthony has been, from the time we've been discussing this, when Anthony was a little bit more fluid in the system, and this is while Boris was there, and even when Liz came on board or was going towards that, I don't think I was agreeing with Anthony, but Liz had to go. It was sooner rather than later. And I wasn't thinking of her to be around for the end of the year. Really, I was thinking that she would. I didn't know it would be that quick. Even though today, when I heard that the 1922 committee.
Yeah, Graham Brady. Yeah.
Yes, when they had met and she was meeting with them, the light went off in my head straight away. So when I heard that she had resigned, it was them telling her that she had to go.
Yes.
If she didn't meet with them, then I'm sure when she stood up at the dispatch box and said she's not a quitter, she did not believe that she would have had to resign, even though it was bad, though it was that bad. Well, but there's no way she didn't have to me, she did not have the expertise to take this country anywhere. Really, I don't think so.
The interesting thing you said, Kwame said the other day before he resigned, he said, "I'm not going anywhere." Anytime I hear MPs or prime ministers or so say they're not going anywhere, I know they're going to go soon. The question was asked to Kwame, and he said, I'll be here. And he came back and he's gone. Liz Truss said yesterday, I'm the lady who is not for turning what she said. I'm a fighter. I'm a quitter. I'm a fighter, not a quitter. I knew she was going to go. And when I saw the writing on the wall was when I heard Graham Brady came, and they were trying to play it down by saying she invited Graham Brady to test the temperature. But then all of a sudden, a car drove up. You must be wondering, how am I doing this and I'm working? Well, the computer was on. A car drove up and they said, who is that? Who is that? It was actually the chairman of the party going inside there. And then I knew it was up. And game was over, really. And then all of a sudden I saw the lectern came out. And I said, game is not over. It's what do we say? Game is not over. There must be something else. It's dead man walking or dead woman walking. But I think the big question now is this: the UK, and I put this out now. How's the UK seen from an international perspective? I know we are here now, and it's good to hear persons from overseas saying this. Muriel, you can say this as well. How's the UK seen now with how many prime ministers in the space of what? 3. You got Boris.
Prime ministers, Sylbourne. We've had 3 prime ministers in the last less than 18 months. So
Yes.
basically we're looking like clowns at the moment.
Muhammad, is that, would you say that, or is it a democratic process?
Well, it's not the democratic
No.
process, is it? I mean, clearly, you cannot have a country like the United Kingdom with instability where you have the prime minister changing every 6 months. It's just not sustainable. Worldwide, we need to show leadership, not just which comes from the top, of course, but not only that, that leadership also dictates the positions of state, like the Home Office, like the Foreign Office. Those positions also are directly linked to the office of the Prime Minister. So if we're changing them every 6 months, it means that we've got no continuity, we've got no stability, we've got no leadership, because it's a bit like with the economy. Once you get it wrong, your credibility is shot. So right now, our credibility, the Conservatives anyway, looks completely shot. People are looking at us around the world, I would suspect, and thinking, crikey, another prime minister after 44 days. What's going on in the UK?
Muhammad, what do you say from Sri Lanka?
Yeah, as I agree with Anthony, like, the stability of British politics is in a question mark now. But if you looking at who made the mess, it's not the public, it's not the members of the party. It is the MPs who made this mess. It is the MPs who don't know how they have to guide the leaders. When the leaders are in a wrong direction, it is the MPs has a responsibility to guide them to the right path, and and take the country forward instead of being a backstabber. If you see, in the outside world, how they are seeing it, like, okay, it's like a pretty joke, like, you keep changing prime ministers, and these within last 2 to 3 years, since 2019, we had 3 prime ministers. But at the same time, what they are saying is the British is showing. This is what I'm coming from this Sri Lankan point of view. What they are saying is the British politics is showing what the democracy is, because when a leader who came with a promise of with a mandate, and once the leader comes to the seat, and that means Liz Truss, for example, she failed to deliver a mandate within a short period, and instead of she was under pressure, but anyhow she has told the truth that I've been failed to deliver my mandate, therefore I'm not deserved to be in the seat and I'm resigning. So that type of attitudes you can't see in many parts of the world. This is what they are saying. Okay, it's a good example for the politician. Like, say, for example, in Caribbean or in Africa, in Asia, this is never happened. Like, if you're looking at the Liz Truss saga, she was not got caught for any corruption or any mismanagement or whatever it is. Only she failed to deliver what she was promised to deliver before she comes as a prime minister, and she has been clearly told that I'm leaving. So this is what they are looking at.
Yeah. Well, she clearly said it was frustrated and she couldn't carry out her mandate. Gary, what's your take as to the international look? What do you think people are saying about the UK from an international perspective?
You know what came to me earlier on this evening? As I sat and I was there thinking about things. I'm thinking quite differently, really. But I really believe that the powers that be in this world, they will not allow the UK to go under. And I'm saying this, I don't have any proof, my friends, I don't, but I believe that the UK, according to history, is very important to world economy.
Yeah.
And I think, and I really believe that this could be orchestrated. It could be something that has been planned. I see Anthony's brow there being knitted a bit, but I believe it's something that has been planned to how can I explain this?
Creating a shift in the world.
Yes, to bring the citizens, because everybody is talking about the NWO, which is New World Order. That's been
Mm,
bandied about several times. People have even thought, whether it's negative or positive, people have even said in regards to the pandemic that that was planned.
yeah.
Whatever, whatever, you want to think about that. But there are certain things that are going on really that I believe is planned so as to bring the citizens of certain countries around, so that when they bring in certain laws or when they bring in certain things, however they want to bring it in, the peoples will then only but have to relent to it or allow it to happen because of what is happening. Now, um, that's how I'm thinking. That's my thoughts. I'm not saying that it is so, Anthony. I'm not saying that, but I was just, as I was thinking about things, I don't think like the United States of America, like
Mm,
certain economies in Europe, which is like, again, like Germany and other United Nations agencies. They cannot afford for the United Kingdom, the government, to fall, or they will not allow that.
they're in different quarters that, and our Nigel Farage actually said it as well, that they're looking for globalists now. They're trying to shift things, get away from the whole Brexit factor. It's like trying to bring in back something. The Boris was for a period of time. Liz Truss was trying her best, in a sense, to put money in people's pockets in a way. They got it really wrong. But in a way, I believe that Liz Truss had her heart was in the right place. I believe her heart was in the right place. But maybe she never had the strength of purpose and the quality for leadership and to bring her people with her. Anthony, you can come in and your perspective on that.
Well, I'm not gonna. I mean, I can't really comment on Gary's
Yeah.
theories. I personally, I don't really sort of see how that one can fly at all. But obviously, everyone's entitled to their opinion. With regards to the UK, Europe, Asia. I mean, as I think Mahid was actually alluring to earlier, in terms of democracy, you just would not see this in certain other countries. Where, for example, there are dictatorships, or, for example, certain politicians or leaders will simply not leave despite what they have carried out or they are believed to be wrong in the first place. They simply will just weather it through and actually push on. Whereas in this case, Liz Truss actually said that she didn't have the mandate, and so she fell on her sword and actually democracy was seen to take its place. But to be honest as well, I don't think Liz Truss could have gone on anyway, because she had lost the credibility of her party, she lost the credibility of the country, and she'd lost the credibility in terms of the wider public. And once you lose credibility, you may be in office, but you're not necessarily in power. And I think this is what happened to her. So even if she wanted to stay on for another 2 years,
Yeah.
who would really have listened to her? She'd already lost her chancellor already, despite the fact that she had said that, and her and Kwasi had said that they were joint in delivering this economic fiscal policy. And despite whether or not it was right or wrong, I think the implementation of it was really poor. And I think that showed her weakness in terms of understanding what real leadership is, which is what Mahid was, I think, alluring to. If you can't actually get your act together and show and implement something correctly, rather than this ad hoc, I'll do it my way or it's the highway, then you lose friends very quickly. And obviously, what's happened is not necessarily a question of her falling on her sword. The markets have shown that they don't want Liz Truss, and obviously, we're all dependent on the economy to get to get things through. So if people's mortgages start to go through high rocketing, which they have been, people's energy bills are going crazy, and of course she keeps using Ukraine as the catch-all. But it's not just Ukraine. A lot of the things that we're now experiencing now were a direct consequence of her decisions and her chancellors. So she had to go. But going back to Mahid's point, in some countries, they would not have gone. They would simply have said, "Well, okay, well, so what?" and they would have just carried on. So I do respect the fact that over here in the UK we're very democratic, and we do sort of follow. We have that sort of stiff upper lip, and if we do something wrong, we fall on our sword. Whereas in other countries, maybe they're not so willing to do that.
Gary said something some time ago, and we've been speaking about this when it comes on to leadership. And I'll come on to you, Muhaid. We were talking about the fact that there's a lack of strong leaders now in this world. And we kept using the analogy or comparing with the likes of the Gorbachev, the Reagan, the Thatcher. Um, those persons, there's a soundness with these persons. And what we're seeing is a level of inexperience. And even the Labour Party, they are talking about in the Labour Party. If Labour comes in or when they come in or whatever like that, they're coming in with a lot of inexperienced persons. And it seems like the market seems to want persons with some level of soundness. And we saw that demonstrated a bit with Jeremy Hunt. Is that a fair statement, Muhaid? Jeremy Hunt is like a safe pair of hands, even though he was a Remainer, being the Chancellor.
I would say there are two factors if you looking at these last 6 months of British politics, which I don't know, but basically I feel like that, because the politics, like, you have two type of channels. One is it's a transferable one. Another one is intransferable. We can't see that. There are certain hidden agendas, like what Gary was talking about, this new world order, right? Now, if you're looking at Boris Johnson involvement, if you're looking at in the global side, if you're looking at all the state leaders, Boris was too much extreme into Ukraine issue than any other leaders in the world. If you're looking at when Ukraine Russian war begins, and and I felt it like Boris is like leading to support the Ukraine to resist against Russia. It could be seen as some sort of a headache for Putin also. So even at the beginning, there are certain scandals, like, which has been, Boris has said sorry and everybody's accepted it, and they went for a confidence vote and he got the confidence. But still, after within few weeks, like, everything went away. Like, whoever been given the confidence, all the MPs has told, like, publicly, like, we should back Boris, we have to work with Boris. But within few weeks, like, everybody is like starting to change. So one thing is, I don't know why this happened. Second thing, if you're looking at this current political turmoil in around the world, especially this in developed countries. Now, if you're looking at you talk about this Reagan, Thatcher, like, the leadership and the current leadership, there is two differences that I'm seeing now. Those days, in current time, it's something like politicians, like, that means the politicians are infested with leeches. That means, like, the businesses are now somehow indirectly, whoever becomes the leaders and whoever becomes, important figures, and the business are linking to them, like the businesses are lobbying with the politician leaders. And that's not only in England, I'm talking everywhere. If you see that, now you see, for example, I'll give you a very good example with this Indian political saga. Now, since 2013, I think 2013, Narendra Modi has become the Prime Minister of India, and 2019 he was re-elected. But if you're looking at 2013, the one of the businessmen called Adani Group, and he was not that rich, but he was given lots of priority by this Indian Prime Minister on many things, like even for this foreign investment, and whenever he travels, and this Adani Group keep investing, and he's become, within 7 years of time, he was very closely, Adani Group was very closely with Indian Prime Minister, and he's become the second richest man. I don't know, second richest man in the world now. Okay, so if you're looking at that, all those Indian politics, you can see it's a transparent one. Even though they are, something like butcher and the surgeon, both are cutting the flesh, but in two different techniques. The surgeon's one, you can't see that, but the butcher you can see. So in like Indian, other countries, you can see that one. But when it's come to this Britain, America, like, the European nation, it's very difficult to see that. But still, they are manipulating, they are closed in, they are lobbying with the leaders, and they do this, not like those days. That's happening. You understood that. So that is the
Yeah.
question mark. From my understanding, these are the two important matters. So based on these two important matters, what I am seeing is like, leaders are becoming very weak because of leaders are not leading themselves. They've been
Very weak.
controlled by
Did you say very weak? Leaders
they
are
weak
being very
means
weak. Yeah.
leaders are becoming weaker because leaders are being controlled by some unknown powers.
Mm.
That's I felt it now because if you're looking at the scenarios in, I'm not talking about the British politics alone. If you're
Yeah.
looking at all these things, something is like moving
I- yeah. Is that what you're sort of alluding to, Gary, whereby their hands are somewhat tied in an
I
indirect way, Gary?
um I would I know we're going into waters here that I mean I don't have I mean if anybody says, well, Mr. Graham, do you have any proof of what you say? I have no proof. I can't pull down any documents or anything on the internet to say that this is that and
Mm.
that is this and all of that. I don't have anything. So but I just feel, I mean, based on what has based on what's happened in the past. Sometimes we've got to look at in the past
To
in
understand the
order to
future of the
see
present.
where
Yeah.
we are in the future now, in the present, to where we're going. And you know, I just believe I do have some feeling that there is something going on that we are not really aware of, and we are not being informed now. You know, when you look at even look at what Biden says when the question was put to him about what's happening in the UK.
Mm.
Now, you know, I really believe he's right to say it's up to the citizens of the United Kingdom
Sort
to
out
make
the
the choice of
yes.
what needs to be done. He's right on that.
Mm.
But yet still, I am a bit um, when you listen to what he says, I feel like he knows very well that the those who are in the know don't want Liz Trust there.
Right. Okay. So therefore that brings us now to the next question now. Who is it that we see to be the next leader? And I'll go on to Gary I'm not Gary, Anthony, because this kickstart contest now to find the next Tory leader and hopeful is going to be. They said the hopeful, the PM hopefuls need to get the backing of 100 MPs. That's what Graham Brady is saying. Because what they're trying to do is by next week there should be a new prime minister in place. And what they're saying, if there are two candidates, the Tory membership will get to vote again, and a winner will be picked by Friday. I can tell you this because, as you guys know, and it's on record, that I'm a Conservative member, and I just got an email from the headquarters to say that blah 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 nomination to stand for election. You're on the as a paying member, and members ballot due to open Tuesday the 25th of October, closed by Friday the 28th of October. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to make this one very quick, and it's going to go by online. So the newly appointed Chancellor Jeremy Hunt also ruled himself out, but Rishi Sunak and Penny Mordaunt are seen as contenders. Anthony, we're in a position now whereby the Conservative Party is not looking to call a general election. They are looking actually with the majority that they still have from Boris Johnson time to go on to the next 2 years. With your analysis now on the persons to try to have some level of stability, because we need stability at this time. Who do you see? You're always right, Anthony. And if you say who says we can just hang up the show and show done.
Well, for me, Selborne, all joking aside, it's a very serious situation we're in right now.
Yes.
And for me, I don't even know why they're bothering to have a leadership contest, if I'm really honest, because Richard Sunak came second to Liz Truss. He was actually the person who had the most votes with the MPs originally before it went to the members. So I think it would be disingenuous to go to the members, even though they have said they are going to. I think it would be wrong to the general public to go out again to the members who already just 44 days ago elected Liz Truss. So for me, if they can't pick the person who came second, they should call a general election, because it's only fair that they shouldn't have the right to actually impose on the country another person just because they happen to be the leader of the Conservative Party. I understand the principle here that as the Conservative leader, that person, because the Conservatives are in power, automatically becomes the Prime Minister. But I think if they want to make a quick decision and Liz Truss has resigned, the person who came second, which was obviously Richie Sunak, should, I believe, in order just to make it a clean break, then go forward as become the new Prime Minister. I see no point in people like Penny Mordaunt, people like
Kemi Badenoch,
and Jeremy Hunt, who obviously has ruled himself out. I see no point in rerunning that, because to do it in a week is actually really very quick. But also the MPs have already had 6 weeks of looking at them and hearing their stories, and they chose Richie Sunak, right? That's who the MPs chose. And the sad thing is, don't forget, Richie Sunak was actually the leader right from the beginning, right to the end with the MPs. So I don't see why anything should change now and they should suddenly go out and have a ballot. So for me, I would go with Richie Sunak. I also believe I don't believe he's the best person in the Conservative Party to lead our country. I believe there are a lot smarter people who actually could do the job a lot better. But for some unknown reason, they're not putting themselves forward. I got no idea why. Someone like, for example, Graham Brady of the 1922, a very powerful individual within the Conservative Party, and I'm sure there are other individuals like him who have a lot of gravitas and experience. I'm surprised that these individuals don't ever come forward. They leave it to these newbies like Liz Truss and others to come forward, and then they pick these people who are completely inexperienced, who have got no business acumen, no nothing, to become Prime Minister. So for me, if you want me to put myself on the spot, judging by the job that Richie did as the Chancellor, and judging by the fact that he actually said what the consequences were going to be of this Truss economic policies if she went forward with her mini budget, I would say at this stage, purely because they had the ballot, they had 6 weeks, all of the MPs have seen them, it should be Rishi Sunak. Not necessarily because he is the best, but he was the best of the bunch when they did the initial contest 6 weeks ago.
Thank you for that. And before I go on to Muirhead, the persons who are potential contenders is Rishi Sunak, Penny Mordaunt. I'm going to say a name shortly. Mr. The guy who is the guy for the Ben Wallace, Kemi Badenoch, even Suella Braverman. These are persons that they are talking about putting themselves. Interestingly, I've got another person here, which I want to play this video here because they say he's on his way back. You hit Boris is on his way back, and Antoinette, they said Boris is on his way back. What do you say about that, Muirhead?
Yeah, I think, if you're looking at the, I listened to Anthony's view, but, what I can say is like, if you're looking at the Boris Johnson saga, he became the Prime Minister with a majority of 80 seats. Now, then, he was running, he took the country out of, European Union, and he delivered that. Okay. But after that, yes, it is. Okay. After that, what happened? If you're looking at the opinion polls never said the opinion polls, Boris Johnson never becomes, Boris Johnson, with the leadership of Boris Johnson, Conservative is okay with the leadership, in the polls, right? But when it's come to, it was the MPs, they push him to go out of. Now, if you see, like, as he said, Anthony said, like, okay, the leadership contest went. There was a petition went on, as everybody knows that, there was a petition to include the Boris Johnson's name in the ballot paper, but which was not taken in. but there was a popular petition went around, and still it was not succeeded to get Boris Johnson named to the ballot paper.
Yes.
Then these final two candidates, for example, now MPs are not pushing Penny Mordaunt to the ballot paper. They decided to final two choice. As I said earlier, I wrote an article also. Two bad choices, one has to choose, right? On that, she won 58%. Rishi got 42%, which is like 16. This thing. So that's very clearly says that Rishi lost the support of the party members. Here you have to understand that MP's personal choice doesn't matter in the politics of Conservative Party politics. It is the members' choice matters here. Whether we like it or not, it is the members. Because at the end of the day, if we go against the members, the party will not win the next election. Because, so we always have to make sure that the members are for the party's decision, right? So that's, that went there. And now Rishi came second, Liz Truss came first. She came as a prime minister. Now she blew her chance. Now she resigned. Now what about Boris Johnson? Boris Johnson was having a good polls. Conservative was leading the polls always, right? In opinion polls, that's a public opinion. And the second thing is Boris Johnson never had an opportunity to stay from his members, because the members who brought him as a leader, right? Before 2019, he became the leader to the members, right? Then what happens? The members should have told that whether they want Boris Johnson or they don't want Boris Johnson. But nothing has been done those days. He has been kept out by what happened to Margaret Thatcher. The similar thing, they have kept him out. He was very upset that time when he was leaving. He never get a chance at least to tell what the members want. Now, if you see today, yesterday's polls, YouGov polls was clearly saying is 63% of the members are backing Boris Johnson to become the next leader of the party. So now, by knowing that everything, if they are going to go with a different type of way to choose Rishi Sunak means, then you are second time you are not allowing the members to make the choice. If you don't make the members to choice, what happens? They will going to go away from the party activities. If they go away from the party activities, we're going to crush by the Labour Party on the next election. So we have to look into all those.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there, because you have played right into Anthony's hand. Yeah. Right into Anthony's hand, whereby 160,000 people were so-called the individuals that chose Liz Truss. 81,000 picked her, 60,000 picked Rishi Sunak. Okay? And what they're trying to do now, it could turn out to be just over 300 or so MPs, maybe the one that decide the next prime minister. It is very clear and obvious that this is where they're saying, away with the membership, away with these persons who are supposed to be this so-called elite, bring it back to the people, let the nation have a general election, and maybe that's the way forward. Because it is clearly seen that the membership was out of touch in order to pick Liz Truss. I'm being straight here. And who knows, the membership again will be out of touch to pick another person to choose to lead the UK for the next 2 years. So therefore, Starmer may have a good point now with Anthony, call election. Gary, how does that sound? I know I'm a conservative, but I like to be straight at the same time.
Let me say that what Anthony said before, I think that's spot on. I mean, why is it? And it's the same kind of thing I was even talking to my wife about the other day, or even earlier on today. What is the old guard of the Conservative Party saying? And or what are the men, such as the chairman for the 1922 committee? What's wrong with these men?
Yeah,
these men have experience. They have the gravitas. And if they can wield so much power, so much influence in saying to an individual, it could have been somebody else other than Liz Truss or Boris, but these men can bring in a prime minister and say, listen, your time is up. Let's just say, for example, your time is up. You need to move on. And these men then has to write a letter, stand before the whole nation. Let's say, stand before the world and say that, things have not gone the way how we or when we were elected to run the party and to be the party chair or whatever. These men have what it takes, but yet they refuse to
Yeah, Gary,
step up.
you're gonna point, but sorry, Gary, please go ahead. I'm jumping in there. Go on. Yeah.
They refuse to step up. Now, something is, to me, in my mind again, something is inherently wrong. Something is going on because they know the situation
They know time was up for Gliz. They know time was up.
well, they knew that, but they know what the situation of the state of the country. They know the political and the financial state of the country. And they know, or they may have a clue of what to do. They know that the country needs stability. They know that the citizens of the country, and not only of the country, but the standing that the world, as Anthony has alluded and spoken of, they know what the world is looking for in regards to the United Kingdom. But instead of coming forward,
Yeah.
who do they put up there? They put people who have no experience. They don't have what it takes, and then this is what happens. You've got the Liz Trusts, you've got the Boris Johnsons, you've got the Rishi Sunaks. I'm not saying that these people that have called, that have come and have gone, but what I'm saying is that these men, they have what it takes, but they're not stepping forward. And I'm just wondering, why is it that they haven't, even if it's one member of these committees, that have not thrown their hat into the ring to say, listen, I am up for the job. I'm up for the position.
Well, someone said earlier today that what is needed now is a person who is not pushing and seeking for office, or to say I can fix it, like the Rishi Sunak, like the Penny Mordaunt. It is like you need someone like, I'm going to use an example, like a Jeremy Hunt who is saying, I don't want it. I just want to stay focused and be the chancellor. But what we saw with Jeremy Hunt somehow was a sort of sound voice, a thoughtful person, someone that somewhat, I would say, commands some level of respect. And maybe it is someone like that that is needed now to calm the waters, because...
Well, what about Brady? What about Brady?
You mean person? Yeah, Anthony. I mean, yeah.
Well, no, this is what I mentioned earlier. You've got Sir Graham Brady, who is the chairman of the 1922, the big all-powerful that can obviously make all these decisions, make or break a prime minister.
Right.
And I think, to be honest with you, Gary, I think one of the reasons why people like Graham Brady doesn't take the position is because him and other senior people within the Conservative Party know that when whoever comes in, they can control, because ultimately they know that they wield the power. I mean, look who they always go to. They have to always fall back to people like Sir Graham Brady. But yes. I think, sadly, I'm surprised that people like Sir Graham Brady and others who have many years' experience in the Commons, many years of business experience, many years international experience because of the businesses that they own, and they don't actually want to put themselves forward. Personally, I would like the UK to adopt a more wider approach when they have these positions of important positions, like the US does, where when they have a problem with banking or when they're looking to appoint a banking person, what they do is they don't put in someone who happens to be a member of the party. They actually bring in someone who, if I'm not mistaken, when they had the banking crisis, they brought in, I believe it was someone from one of the major banks in the US to become and be the finance person, rather than simply give it to someone who's got no experience at all. Now, and in fairness, Jeremy Hunt is not a financial person. Rishi Sunak happened to be a hedge fund person, but surprisingly, also Kwasi Kwarteng was also his previous position was at Lehman Brothers, so he was also a financial person. But I think you're right. Jeremy Hunt has come across as being very articulate, very level-headed. He has actually calmed the waters in terms of how people see us, and he's come across as very statesman-like. But that's not surprising. He's been in the Conservative Party and held senior positions of state for many years, and I think it shows in the way that he actually presents himself and he delivers his message.
Yeah. Well, you know what? What I just showed a while ago was that Graham Brady. Sometime he watches the show. I just let you know that, and he's on my friend list. So I'll definitely send that to him later so he can listen. And it is very correct. You got these senior guys there that need to actually step up to the plate. Muirhead, before we wrap up.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at this leadership contest now, what's happened in the past, what's going to be happening in the future. My advice to Rishi Sunak is a very active guy. There is no question at all, but he's very inexperienced, he's immature. Because as I told you, you must have a good vision, but you should also have a good mission of how to controlling your people, control your party members. Then he went to the ballot box and he got only 42%, and Liz got more than what Rishi got it from the ballot paper. So my advice is if Rishi Sunak is contesting this, to become the next prime minister, either if he is going to get it through these MPs, if nobody's opposing, only one person is getting, that is a process, they are talking through the MPs process, they are without going to the ballot, they're going to be, it's like a landslide support from the MPs. I think that person can be able to, that person can be able to, what do you call, to go to the down the street. But if, say, for example, Rishi Sunak is going to the ballot paper with against Boris Johnson or Penny Mordaunt or somebody else, two people will be going. In this scenario, my advice is like Andrea Leadsom, what she did when she was contesting at Theresa May, he has to stay away from the ballot, because what I am saying is he has a he has a good future, but he should build his future instead of he's going, and if he loses the second time in the ballot for the members, I don't think he can be able to come back forever. So only thing is what he has to do is, instead of going and risking his leadership future, he has to he has to stay out of the ballot paper, and let it be, give another 3 to 4 years of time, then like what happened to Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson was going out, he was, now there are members are saying, okay, he should be come back. There are MPs are saying he should be come back. But, he knows that, sometimes there will be a time, it will change. The people, the MPs or the members will ask me to come and lead the party. The same thing what I can say is Rishi Sunak should not take a risk by going to the ballot paper within a very short period. And if he's going to lose it, even with the one vote, that he lost the members twice, and I don't think he can come back for it. That's, in politics.
Yeah. Okay, Muhammad. So question to you now before we wrap up. General election, and if not a general election, who is the person that you would choose if you want to put your head on the block?
That means general election candidate, or?
No. If there's a general election, are you calling for a general election, or you just want a new leader? And if there's a new leader, who's the person that
I think to my understand, now what we need, instead of we go following a general election, a new leader has to become, which is it's like something like somebody who can be able to patch up all the differences and, make a plan for next 2 years. Okay. And, I would say whoever in your outside, enemy line, take it together. They have to go, because I'm talking about now what the Tory party, what the next move of the Tory party is all about, the party's interest to win the next election. But if we are going for a general election, I would say it will not going to, it will create a hung parliament. Definitely, that will slowly, it will allow the Labour Party to come back. In a next short election, they will come back.
The key question is, who is the person that you'd want to be the next leader of the Conservative Party?
I'm saying is Boris Johnson, because the reason is if you're looking at this, he has been not been kicked out by the party members. He has been not been kicked out by the British public. It was done through the parliament. So I would say that
you want Boris to come back. So you want Boris to come back. Okay.
Yeah.
So so we got two so far. And Gary, we understand what Anthony said already. Who are you saying? And general election, and if not a general election, who is the person you like to see to be the leader of the names that we put forward? Rishi Sunak, Penny Mordaunt.
Penny Mordaunt, no. And I don't know if I heard fully what Anthony said, but
Anthony said Rishi. And said the best person at this time would be Rishi. And what Anthony said, what the sense of going down and going back to this leadership contest when he got second and the MPs all overwhelmingly voted for him?
okay, okay. Um,
You got
that's a
Kenny,
diff-
you got
that's a
Solar Brave
difficult
Man. Yeah, go on.
that's that's a difficult one for me. Because I hear what Anthony is saying, and if I mean they shouldn't have to go to another election to choose. If Rishi was second, then they should have just chosen him straight away. I mean, why are they going back to make another choice? When
Yeah.
it comes to Boris, I'm not a fan of Boris because obviously because of the past, his reputation, his character is not good at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been very devious. I think he's been very deceptious. He hasn't been truthful at all. However, as Muhid did say that it wasn't the country that threw him out of the party or out of the prime minister, the premiership. It was the parliamentary party that dismissed him. Now, I don't know. He has, you see, with Boris now, he has the experience. He has the political strength in order to know how to carry,
And
how
to
to carry
galvanize. And to
government.
galvanize.
Yes,
He's got the
he has it.
stardust.
He has it. Richie doesn't. I mean, he has the expertise financially. I understand that, and really, it should have been Richie. The only, as you remember in one of the last sessions that you had, Sylbourne, the
Yeah.
only reason why I think Richie didn't get it, and I would say it here and now, is because he's a nation, and because I don't think the country is ready. Even if they want Rishi in now, even if they're calling for him right now, I don't know if the country is ready for Rishi. Because the country, even though it is cosmopolitan or metropolitan or whatever,
Which is London, really.
I understand that there is, a mixture of cultures and everything like that. I understand that. But I
So
don't know if the country is really ready for a nation to take over. Now, I'm not saying that he can't do it.
Yeah.
I
So
just think that there's a culture clash here that is going on behind closed doors somewhere. I just feel that, Anthony. I don't know if you may feel that. I don't know if you see
or is it that the
I
UK is
see that
institutionally racist?
there is a struggle going on. There is a struggle going on. I
Or is
really
it that
believe
the UK is institutionally racist? That must be. That's. I mean, is it culture? Is it culture? Or is it race?
Well, look. Just my 1 pence before Mahid has his last say on this. Look.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we're all clear that when the ballot box went for Liz Truss and Richie to the members, Richie was the favourite by the MPs.
Yes.
The membership of the Conservative MPs, there's nothing surprising here that most of the membership is made up of white men over 55, and they are the people who the leaders, who the members predominantly consist of, and they may choose that they don't want to have an Asian. However, given what's happened to Liz Truss in their decision recently, they may change their mind. I wouldn't say the party is institutionally racist. I would simply say that maybe it's difficult for some of those individuals to maybe see past colour, which is very sad. But going back to Mahid's point, he keeps going on about Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson, sadly, is a charlatan. The reason why Boris Johnson is where he is, and rightly so, is because he's a charlatan. Boris Johnson is all style over substance. There's nothing behind Boris Johnson apart from deception, which is what Gary has pointed out, and that's the reason why he ended up where he did. Don't forget, there's also a hearing against Boris Johnson as well, not just for what happened in Partygate, but before, during the pandemic, with all the awards that were given. I think we have to just sort of, look at Boris Johnson for what he is. Yes, he's a very good character. Yes, he can, make people laugh and he's funny and he has his hair. But But whenever you actually ask Boris Johnson a question, do you get a real answer? No, you don't get an answer. You get all this tomfoolery. And he does that deliberately to deflect from the fact that he does not want to answer, or he doesn't, or he can't answer. So yes, we all get this flamboyant and we think he's really lovely and what a great guy. But behind him, what is there? Nothing. He did it when he was the head of the mayor of London. He was all flamboyant. He's come to become prime minister. He's done the same thing, and he's been found out, and that's the reason why they got rid of him.
You know what? I think what the UK need now is a level of stability and a sound leader, and to move away from all of the flamboyance, move away from all the excitement, and just get some sort of firm hand and a firm grip on the nation now. That's what I believe. That's what I like to see. You know, and if they can bring in someone for that for the next 2 years, let it be. Let's calm the market down. And as I say, everybody, calm down at this time. And that is what is the key thing now. Guys, listen, we did it 10 o'clock. I want to thank you so much for coming on. Mira Jiren, thank you so much from all the way from Sri Lanka. What time is it there now?
2:30. I had to go sleep. Thank you very much.
See you later. See you later. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for that.
Bye.
Gary, thank you again for coming on and sharing your views. And Anthony, of course, as usual, I guess we know who the Prime Minister is going to be. So game's over already because you already said it. You're always right. And listen, guys, have a good night, yeah? And peace out. And we just
before you go.
Yeah, please, Gary.
Before you go, really and truthfully, I think Anthony hit the head on, as I said before, and I just think that why aren't these other men?
Yes.
Why aren't these other guys in these powerful committees? Why aren't they coming forward? They know that the country needs stability. They know that the electorate wants stability. That's soundness. And they want to win. Whether it's Labour or Conservative, the point here is that the country is bigger than the party. And the citizens of this country need stability. They need to know that the leadership is out front and it's someone that they can put their trust in. Why aren't these guys coming forward? That is what I'd really like to get an answer for.
Well, I'll write something in a membership, a conservative member group, which I'm a private group, just to bring that point, because I always tend to bring points and views from the public, because at the end of the day, we have to listen to what people are actually saying. And I agree with you 100%. As a matter of fact, at one point I was saying, I don't think you need to, as I did say this, instead of, if Liz goes, this is what I said, if Liz goes, just call Jeremy, just call Keir Starmer and just say, here's the key, man. No more election. Revolving door. You know, let's call, you know. Anthony, the last word, even though you always, yeah?
No. I've said my piece. Thank you.
Your piece.
Nice to see you again, Gary.
Have a good night. I guess we'll be reviewing the next Prime Minister next week. I wish we can move off this topic, you know, and talk about something else, because there's so much more things in the news. You know what I mean? The bits about anyway, there's so much more stuff in the news. But hey, this one is very crucial and important. Have a good night, guys. Peace out. Take care, Anthony, and take care, Gary. Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight, and it's a pleasure. And make sure that you like and subscribe to the show on Instagram, especially if you're on Instagram. For those on Instagram, the best thing to do is to go on to the YouTube channel, which is Sylbourne TV, and you can see the full show. One of the things definitely that I'll have to do is to somehow let this show and some of the discussions go to some persons in power, especially Mr. Graham Brady, to hear some of the views from persons as well. And we hope and trust that right choice will be made for the next Prime Minister, and so we can have some level of stability at this time, which is so very important as well, you know. And see you Saturday night. Talk and Sip Saturday night. Who knows? We might be talking about this. I tell you what, I saw something a while ago, and I don't know if you guys have seen it. For anyone who is from Jamaica or so, this some gunmen went into this shop and killed a Chinese man. I mean, he just went in there to rob, and the video is very clear. I've got the video. Someone sent it to me, and it's really sad, very distressing. You are doing your livelihood, and the guys just came in and just shot him about six. They emptied the gun on him, literally emptied the gun on him. I must say, literally emptied the gun on him. And a couple other persons were there as well. They actually they moved them away, and it makes it look like, I don't know, it looked like it was a hit, and the robbery was just like a cover. You know, the wanton murder, the wanton lack of respect for life. I mean, you'll see that. I think I'm seeing it in the news as well, in the Jamaican papers, and it is online. And they have sort of covered the shooting bit there. Really sad how cheap life is. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. See you Saturday night on Talk and Sip. Peace out, and God bless you. Bye-bye.